Ford out with auto sales figures for February. Let's get to Phil LeBeau with the numbers. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Sarah. For the month of February, Ford sales falling 8.9%. ICE vehicles, internal combustion engine vehicles, still the predominant vehicle that Ford sells, down 12.7%. EV sales, though, up 15%. And as we've talked about for some time, Ford has really been pushing hybrids, gas-electric hybrids. Those vehicle sales were up 27.5%. But again, guys, for the month of February, Ford sales down 8.9%.
Phil, we're just getting, thank you for that. We're just getting some comments on the wires from the Mexican president, Claudia Sheinbaum, who is saying whatever the decision is from the U.S., again, this is regarding the tariffs set to take effect 25% from Mexico, we will make our own decisions. She says we have a plan B, C, D, whatever the decision is, we'll talk more about it tomorrow. And I do wonder what sort of reaction, what you're hearing from the auto industry with so much at stake here when it comes to the disruption going over the border, when it comes to making autos and how much we're going to pay extra if these go into effect.
We won't know for at least 3 or 4 weeks how much the automakers ultimately have to increase vehicle prices. And I wouldn't expect it to be on a model per model basis. In other words, let's take the Ford Maverick, which is built at their plant in Mexico. Do I expect Ford to take the full impact of any tariffs that are put in place, let's say after they've burned through their inventory, and say, okay, well, we're going to jack up the price by $5,000, $6,000, whatever it might be in terms of a tariff cost? No. What they're more likely to do is to spread that out across the vehicle lineup, offset incentives as much as possible. They don't want to make a dramatic shock in terms of prices going up. And that's not just at Ford. That's all automakers. I think the thing that everybody's looking at, Sarah, is what's going to be the situation 2 months, 3 months, 4 months down the road. The automakers can shift around their production and already have to a certain extent. Maybe increase production, so they brought more vehicles across the border before the tariffs went into effect. Suppliers building up their inventory down closer to the plants, so they're not impacted by the tariffs until, they can burn through some of that inventory. And the suppliers, Sarah, they just don't have the flexibility that the automakers do. So they're the ones where initially you're going to see the real impact for them. And the question is, how much of what they are hit with in terms of tariffs can they then turn around and pass along to the automakers? Historically, the automakers have said, oh, no. We're not bearing the full cost on whatever it might be, whether it's tariffs or something else. They have always had much more power with their suppliers than the suppliers have had with them. So that's going to be the first area where you'll notice an impact.
Meantime, Phil, some stories on the wire today are trying to put a number on the gross, not the amount that's passed on or not, but the additional cost of building a car. Some say $4,000 for a crossover utility. Some say as much as 12. I wonder if you think those numbers are fair.
They're all over the place because it depends on the type of vehicle and it depends on where it's being built. A vehicle built in Mexico has lower costs than a vehicle built in Canada. Also, a pickup truck has a different cost structure than if you were to build a compact hybrid electric vehicle, let's say up in Canada. So that's why people sit there and they say, well, what's it going to be? It depends on the vehicle, and it could be as low as $4,000 for a lower-end vehicle or as much as $12,000 for a luxury vehicle that is packed with content. It really does depend on the model, and I know that's not the answer people want, but we really won't know here for several weeks in terms of how the automakers are going to adjust and how much of this they're able to pass along in terms of somebody's going to have to pay at some point.
Well, either way, Phil, glad you're in the chair this week. It's going to be a busy one. Phil LeBeau helping us understand the picture from the automaker's perspective. Take another